I have created this video for you today to think about the structure of a reader's workshop. We've received questions asking about the benchmark structure of mini lessons and the time involved. Some feel that these lessons are too long and they're not having enough time, or they didn't realize there was time for independent reading. So let's look at that together more today. In Reading Workshop, the class begins workshop time by gathering together for a brief lesson called a mini lesson. Here, the teacher directly teaches the students for about 7 minutes by demonstrating a strategy and allowing them to have a quick try. This is what Jennifer Saravallo has to say about the mini lesson. Let's look at this through a model. Here's a picture of a daily reading workshop model. Let's think about our time as a pie. And then let's think about how our time is divided in this pie so that we're supporting readers in different ways as we work through gradual release of responsibility and helping them learn to, with, and by as readers. If you think about the mini lesson, it's one piece of the pie. It's a short piece, and as Jennifer Saravallo shared with us, it's short, focused, and concise, giving the children time to see the teacher demonstrate a strategy and a teeny tiny bit of time to practice it out under her or his watch. So let's look also into the left corner. These are the recommended minutes. These minutes aren't just Round Rock minutes. These are based on research and what you'll likely encounter anytime you read professionally about a reading workshop model. Ideally, you have 60 minutes for your entire block, the entire circle. However, in Round Rock, we have these minutes based on our time in this district. Please note your grade level. Also, at this point in the year, you should be well on your way to having the students at these times as readers. So let's think about what happens in Reader's Workshop after the mini lesson. The heart of the workshop is independent reading, and during this time, the teacher is conferring or pulling small groups. Students are reading independently. They may be engaged in partner reading, they could be engaged in book clubs, and there's some form of reader's response. Of course, this also depends on the grade and the time of year. So let's think a little bit more about a mini lesson structure. You may be familiar with Lucy Calkins' architecture of a mini lesson. This is actually found in The Art of Teaching Reading by Lucy Calkins. It's also in the Units of Study by Lucy Calkins, as well as this structure appears in books by Jennifer Saravallo and Kathy Collins, as well as others. So let's think about the architecture of a mini lesson. The point of this architecture is that it brings the teacher through a mini lesson in a way that's concise and structured and brief, so that the teacher is giving time to each piece so that the student understands the reading strategy. The connect is how you begin the lesson and connect it to the work from yesterday. The teach is where the teacher models and demonstrates the strategy, and active engagement is the time when the teacher watches and allows the kids to practice it. Then the link goes to their ongoing work as readers. In Benchmark Readers Workshop, they have the same 4 parts. However, they have their own terms for each piece. Just as the architecture of a mini lesson and work by Calkins, Saravallo, and Collins starts with a connect, Benchmark starts with a focus. That's focusing the kids on what they're working on today and how it worked with what they did yesterday. The model is very similar to the teach, where the teacher models the strategy. Guided practice or guide practice is similar to the active engagement. This is meant to be a short time for the kids to practice the strategy and allow the teacher time to see how the kids are working on it. Bridge to transfer is taking the strategy and the skills from the mini lesson and transferring them to the work that the students will do in Reader's Workshop. All four of these are intended to be done within a short time frame. In Benchmark Workshop, they actually show us the times that they suggest for us to use this. Let's look at a mini lesson. In this mini lesson, this is from 3rd grade, you'll see exactly what we just talked about. Here's the beginning of the mini lesson. We have a focus. Notice that it says 1 to 2 minutes. Then we have a model, 5 to 6 minutes. Notice that in this part, this is where the teacher is doing the majority of the work while the kids listen in. The guide practice, students were now comparing and contrasting based on what the teacher just modeled. And then there is some bridging to transfer where they end the lesson. Now notice that in benchmark it goes to this portion. It says small group and independent. This is where the kids break off and have time to practice the strategies that they just learned. Then we end the workshop with the whole group share and reflect, which is about 5 minutes. So let's go back to our slide and think about this together. So what we just talked through briefly was this. We have the mini lesson, the heart of the workshop, and the share. It's critical that children have time every day to work independently, and that teachers have time to work and support kids in this work as independent readers, through small groups or conferring. If you feel like your mini lessons are getting too big and you feel like there's too much to do in benchmark, consider each part of the mini lesson, knowing that the 4 parts are there to help you move through a structure in a way that's concise and to help you have a mental construct for your lesson. Think about what parts of the mini lesson you really feel like you need to focus on, and which pieces can you make your own by putting it into context of what your readers and writers need. Don't feel that you have to go through verbatim this whole lesson. Even if you don't care for the anchor chart, you could also co-construct that or use something else like the reading strategy book to help with a anchor chart there. So I want to show you one other thing before we close, and that is a resource here in benchmark that talks more about the mini lessons. So if you go to any grade you're in, the Launching the Reader's Workshop, you will find where it says Welcome to Reader's Workshop. Then you want to click on the instructional overview. You'll notice that if you go down, it has Reader's Workshop mini lessons. This is interesting to read and think about. This goes over what I just kind of talked about with you about the parts of a mini lesson and how each one is important. It walks you through over here how long it should take, and then it walks you through step 1. So you can see step 1 is the focus, 1 to 2 minutes, and then it talks bullet points here about what the focus is really about. Then we move into step 2. It's important that teachers understand the structure of a mini lesson so that you understand exactly how to move through the lesson in a way where you're mentally organizing the content for the day and understanding the purpose of each step along the way in a mini lesson. I'd suggest looking at this chart deeper if you feel like you have questions about that. Also notice that Benchmark on page 2 has something entitled Small Group and Independent. They recommend 25 to 35 minutes for this portion of the workshop. So thinking back to our pie, that would be what this is. So I hope this video has helped you today. And I also wanted to share that if you're struggling with your time, remember that Benchmark has the different schedules that you can use to flexibly pace your workshop. Also remember that this model is based on ideal times. If your time is less than that, you may have issues and trouble fitting in all the parts, which may feel frustrating. So that might be something to think about as a team or as a school. Are you allowing the time necessary to fit in the components of a workshop model? And also, if you feel like your mini lesson is going too long, maybe going back to the structure of a mini lesson and really understanding and digging in to each of those parts and the intention is important, as well as knowing that it's a short, concise time of teaching where you're focused on one teaching point alone. Thank you for your time, and thank you for all your dedication this year to learning about our new resources. I hope you have a great day, and remember, if you have questions, please do not hesitate to ever email. Thanks so much.